Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Final Two podcast. Today we have a very special guest in the all-time leading NC State scorer, Niklas, Sade. Yes, sir.
How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Good, man. Pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Is it ugly outside out there too, or no?
Nah.
No,
Nice.
it's nice.
Jersey's getting hit hard right now.
So what are you saying at, bro?
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh.
No. But it's hot here.
How's quarantining been?
Hasn't been too bad. It's been nice working from home for me.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Where are you working at?
So I work for IQVIA Biotech. We work with pharmaceutical research companies. And I'm doing project management for them.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Sounds like complex stuff right there.
Complex.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So Nick, take us back, from the start. Right now, obviously you're a successful businessman, but before that, you were a successful athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have the love for football, being a kicker in the beginning, or was it another sport that you started?
So I grew up, my passion still to this day is soccer.
Okay.
I grew up spent my first 9 years in Germany. So everything there is soccer. It's pretty much the only sport in that country. And then I came to the U.S. I was playing soccer, and it's not as big here. So I didn't have the same love for it. And all of my friends in middle school were playing football. So I decided to make the change. And then in high school, I realized I have a better opportunity in football for getting into college, maybe getting my school paid for. So I started taking it really seriously and kind of been playing football since then.
It's incredible. So what was the major difference? Because you said, you chose soccer, but you didn't really like it how it was played in the U.S. What was so different from the U.S. compared to Germany?
I think mainly just for me, coaching was different. The style of play is different. Even at a young age, it's a little bit more complex in Germany in terms of kind of like tactics and passing around. Even at a younger age, you're more involved in that. And when I came to the U.S., when I was playing, it was more of keep your head down, run with the ball, favoriting kind of athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the fastest guy, so it wasn't really kind of like what I was used to doing. And it felt a little bit more individual instead of being team sport at times. So it wasn't the same for me.
So you said you came at a young age to this country. How was that change for you? Because you said you came at 9, correct? I came at 4. So
Okay.
I want to hear kind of your story.
Yeah. So for me, I guess my parents thought I wouldn't take it well. So they told me pretty much the week of that we were moving. So I didn't have much time to let it really sink in until I was over in the U.S. And at that point, I didn't know a word in English. So I found out the week of that we were moving. And so I didn't really have time to really soak it in and realize I'm going to leave all my friends. I'm moving somewhere else across the ocean. And then I moved to the U.S. and it's the end of 3rd grade for me. And I don't know a single word of English. So I'm getting dropped into these classes and these teachers have no idea. So tough, a little bit tough. So it took, good.
No, I was saying, how long did it take you to learn the language?
Yeah, so I came in the end of 3rd grade, pretty much the last month, and then kind of went to school for a little bit, and then my parents said this isn't really doing anything, so I got homeschooled for the last couple of weeks. And then I had a tutor, but mainly it was playing with friends that whole summer. That kind of helped me get more involved and learn the language a little bit, but starting 4th grade, I knew English.
Wow.
And the note there is the older, I came with my 2 older brothers, my mom and my dad. And the older it gets in the family, the more of an accent there is. So I figured, I guess, it was a little bit easier for me because I was still younger.
And you were around everybody too at school.
Yeah.
Your friends now, like you would say, you're making your friends. That's where you really learn the language. I learned it honestly, trial and error in the sense of just kind of as I just go with the flow. Once they started saying things like bathroom, I was like, bathroom, what's bathroom? So you started realizing this is what bathroom means. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too was the ESL classes. They took such a role in you had regular classes and you had to go to ESL and like actually learn, the dialects. And like I used to have like a list problem, and like they help so much too. Especially now, like you like growing up from Germany and now you quickly transitioning to the US. Was it now a problem with playing soccer? Because did you play soccer in middle school or no? I mean, in elementary school.
Yeah, so so good thing is in middle school in North Carolina, football is in the fall, soccer is in the spring. So I had no issues there, so I could still play. But then the problem is in high school, school soccer and school football is at the same time. So my freshman year, when I was doing JV, I could still do both. They gave me that option, but they told me that once I played varsity for either sport, I would have to make a decision, one or the other. And my two brothers actually both already played soccer in high school at that high school that I was going to, and they hated the coach at that time. So I just said, you know what, I'll skip the soccer. I'll just focus on football.
Isn't it crazy how coaches could change like your outlook on a sport? That's like so common, and so many people like, why'd you quit? Because coach was literally terrible.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't play. I didn't even it wasn't even a thought for me to play high school soccer. I kind of just played club soccer and then just high school football.
Were you able to adjust like very like quickly too now with a whole different sport in football? Like how was that like, that transition?
Yeah, I just remember when I first started, I didn't know. I was confused as to why the quarterback and the cornerback position sounded so similar, but were so different. I didn't know a single thing. So they just told me I had a strong shot in soccer. So they just said, line it up and try to hit it through those uprights. So then obviously as I was playing more, and then just try to learn more and more as I could. And then in high school, it was fine. I mean, at the end of the day, I was kicking off and kicking field goals, so it's not too difficult.
Wow. Okay, wait, hold up. It's not too difficult. I can't even kick a soccer ball.
Yeah, but I didn't have to learn any schemes.
Not too difficult. I feel like you're making it sound way too easy than it is. Hold up, let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah. When you put the shoulder pads on for the first time, how was that feeling like?
Yeah, so that one was a little weird, but I made sure that I got the smallest, most junior-sized pads that we could find. Our high school coach made a joke that he was going to take them and give them to his 5-year-old son.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't really call those shoulder pads, so I try to just keep it as minimal as possible.
Exactly, which is normal because you see the kickers today, like even in the NFL, like they don't even wear pads. Like I noticed, even the punters.
Yeah, so in college, I cut my knee pads to be about this big, just so when the ref came up, I could I have knee pads in. But you try to keep it as light as possible.
I had no clue. So when was this? This is high school now, 9th grade. You were doing this, or was it?
So in 9th grade, I started with getting the smallest shoulder pads and that kind of stuff. And then in college, once I started playing in college, that's when I kind of started shedding the other pads, trying to get them as small, as light as possible. The knee pads, the thigh pads, stuff like that.
So when you got hit, it just was whatever. Like I know you guys don't get hit as much, but still, like
exactly.
Yeah,
flying body, especially trying to block the ball.
Yeah. So luckily, only my senior year, I took a shot to the knee on a field goal. So that one was a side angle. He came in late and he took out my knee, but luckily I got my leg off the ground right before, so it wasn't too bad. But besides that, on kickoffs, it kind of just incentivizes you to kick touchback, so that way you don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. So did you take school seriously as you're playing high school as well, or was school mostly like, it's whatever, I kind of want to play my sport?
No, I always took it seriously, just because I knew that the chances of making it, even getting a scholarship. So when I came out for kicking in high school, there's this guy that nationally ranks kickers in high school, and that's who a lot of college coaches use. And even back then, I was ranked number 2 or number 4 most of the time nationally. And it was tough getting scholarships for kickers. Nowadays, kickers and long snappers and punters, they're getting a lot of scholarships. But when I came out, the top 5 kids maybe got 1 scholarship, if that. So it was kind of like you have to take it serious because we weren't guaranteed a scholarship. Even if you were top of the country, it wasn't a guarantee. So we still had to take it seriously because that would help you as a preferred walk-on to get in. If you can get into schools on your own, that helps you. That helps the coaches too. So I took it seriously. And the same thing in college. I wanted to make sure I took a degree that I could work with after football.
So, who taught you about, let's say, like I've always said this, like I didn't know anything about college. I kind of learned it as I went because I came from Dominican Republic. Did you
Hmm.
always know what college was, or did your parents instill that in you, or you just kind of went along with it and just kind of started learning about it as you went?
Yeah, I think I just kind of went along with it, just as I was going. Um, yeah, I think that was like that for me.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. It's crazy to think. Yeah, it's nuts. So you said you were ranked, right? So
Hmm.
what came along with those rankings? Did you play any special games? Did you? How was that?
So I played in the U.S. Army All-American game in high school.
Man, how'd you
So
get
yeah,
selected for that? Like, how did you get the exposure to get selected into that?
so I
It was
think I'm trying to remember because I think you had to go I think they picked one of the guys that does the kind of the ranking stuff, and I can't remember if you had to go to a camp, but you had to do well, or I think nowadays you have to go to one of these camps and win the camps. I can't really remember how I did it back then, 100%, but yeah. So I played in that. I think I don't. There's a lot of people that were on that team that are in the league now.
You know
Who's like one of the
names?
toughest competitors that like is like a big name right now that you faced either in college or high school?
Trying to think. I just played so many people. Um, I don't know how to answer that. It's kind of tough.
A lot.
So which NFL guys made it to NFL that you know off the top of your head?
So from the U.S. Army All-American game, I think Sammy Watkins was there. I think he was there. I think Odell Beckham Jr. was on that team.
Oh my goodness!
Uh,
Whoa! You
you had
saw
some defense. You had
Odell?
some. I think he was on that team. You had defensive lineman like Stephon Tuitt. I think he's at the Steelers. He was on there. Timmy Jernigan was on that team. He's a defensive tackle. I think he was with the Ravens. And it's just crazy to think all the guys there went to top. A lot of them went to SEC, played, had good careers. So it's kind of crazy now if you look back at the roster to see what kind
Who
of
you faced?
back
Yeah.
then it was just like high school kids going to college.
My crazy thing is like you're saying these names like Odell Beckham Jr.,
Like Odell.
Sammy Watkins, like yeah, like I see them at the store all the time. Like,
Yeah.
like it's so casual how you say it. So when you're with these guys, are you feeling any nervous? Are you feeling anything? Like what's going on in
Well,
your mind?
back then, I don't think I really grasped it to kind of think like that's who they're going to turn into.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, here's a kid, he's going to LSU, this kid's going to Ole Miss, he's going to Alabama. So it's kind of just like, here's like these kids that are going to go, and you don't know who's going to make it. But now looking back, when you go through the roster, you're kind of like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you get recruited to NC State? So how did that come to play?
Yep. So I, growing up high school, it's about 25 minutes from NC State. And I was always kind of like wanted to go local. But I did a bunch of camps, Tennessee, Nebraska. I was supposed to go to LSU, but I had plane issues, so I never made it down there. And then I went to Nebraska. I was supposed to go for the camp, had plane issues again. I called my mom. I was like, look, I'm not doing it. This is back-to-back flights that like I didn't make it, and like I can't keep doing this. It's stressful. And the coach just called me like, look, we really want you to come down. Just fly out the next day and we'll work you out. So I went down to Nebraska, and it was just me, Bo Pelini, who was the head coach at the time, who can be a hothead at times when you see him on TV. So I was a little nervous, and the special teams coach, and that was probably the best day of kicking I had for any college team. And they offered me, and State offered me about a couple hours later, and committed to Nebraska at first because I really liked the environment and the coaches and the visit that I had there when I worked out for them. But at the end of it, I kind of wanted to stay closer to home. So I switched my decision about a month before signing day.
Wow.
And to this day, I still love all Nebraska fans because I knew that a month before signing day, I was screwing them a little bit because they stopped recruiting kicker. They needed to bring in a kicker. They stopped recruiting a kicker because they thought it had me. A month before signing day, I kind of said, look, I can't come anymore. And it's tough for them to recruit at that point. A lot of the other guys that they were looking at have committed somewhere else. And the entire fan base just said, it kind of sucks to see you go, but like, we wish you nothing the best. And for a kid coming out of high school that just wants to stay close to home, that meant a lot. So I still love Nebraska.
Wow.
Wow. So you're kicking. So people don't realize this. Like when you come from small towns, the best way to get recruited is to go to camps. I think
Mm-hmm.
you hit that on the head. Is like you go to these camps, and if you have a good showing, it could be a possibility, which I had no clue about, and I've learned that now after
Yeah.
everything. So when you go to this camp, are you nervous at all? How do you keep in your composure? Like, it is what it is. Like,
Exactly. Staying locked in, especially because
yeah.
you have people watching, especially recruiters. Like, how do you just like cut the noise and just stay focused?
Yeah, it's tough. For me, it's a lot personality. I'm a pretty confident person, and for me, it's always kind of been, what's the line between confident and cocky? Well, for me, it was always if you put in the work, then it's confidence. If you don't put in the work, I think it's cocky. So I put in a lot of work.
Wow.
And I had a guy
That's a gem.
that
That's
I
a gem right there.
so I had a guy that I trained with pretty much in high school. I drove with my mom 2.5 hours every weekend in high school to train with this guy, Dan Owner Kicking. Quick shout out. He has a few guys in the NFL. But I drove 2.5 hours with my mom every weekend and trained with him. And, instead of going out and doing stuff with my friends, I'd wake up early Sunday mornings and we'd drive out, spend the day there, kick. And, I just put in a lot of work so that when I came to these camps, these events, you're comfortable. You have all the kind of mistakes and flaws that you had in your form. You've worked on them. You've made a game plan. I think the biggest thing for kicking, and it might be for other sports too, is when you're watching the NFL guys, especially, they're not going to come out and be a machine every single time. They're going to come out and they're going to warm up and they're going to say, look, I've consistently hit a ball that's fading to the left or I'm hitting a draw. So they adjust in the pregame and they make a game plan how they're going to adjust. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing is that if you make a game plan going in to say, okay, maybe I'm not 100% today, I'm kicking the ball a little to the right. So I'm going to aim a little bit to the left. So having this game plan kind of helps that you'll be confident throughout the day. So that's kind of how I just wanted to be prepared as possible going into these camps.
Wow.
So
Speaking of the NFL, like, and talking about like kickers from that league, was there somebody that like you kind of inspired, like to, kind of take their style or their game plan and implement it into your career itself? Like, because I could just think of like major, kickers and punters, like Adam Vinatieri, a legend,
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Janikowski, and the list goes on. So, who kind of inspired you, becoming a kicker?
Well, that's the thing. I've never really had one. I've thought about this question too before. There's never really one that I've looked at and go, because to me, I kind of just started out on my own and I trained and I kind of always it's a little different for kicking because you can look at certain kickers and being like, okay, I admire this guy, this I want to be like, but your style is going to be different. And so I don't want to build my game off someone else's style because my style is different. A lot of kickers are usually smaller guys, and I was finishing college at 6'3", 235 pounds. There aren't a lot of kickers other than maybe Janikowski that's going to be bigger.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to look at their game plan and go, okay, let me go. But the thing I like doing is taking people's game and breaking it down and saying, okay, what do they do well? And what can I implement from their game? So I kind of just pieced a lot of stuff from other kickers and kind of picked the best things that I could implement into my game.
So what training goes into being a kicker? What type of trainings did you have to go through?
Yeah, that's tough. It's a lot of form-focused stuff. I don't know. It's a lot of form-focused stuff. The problem is if you just go out and kick, you're gonna kick with bad habits, and you're gonna drill those bad habits in. So it's a lot of muscle memory when you're first starting out. It's a lot of muscle memory. It's a lot of contact. And it's not really fun. So you really have to get that down, and then you go out. You really don't, unless you don't really kick a lot. You don't want to go out and just kick 60, 80 balls every day because your leg's going to fall off. So just do a lot of contact drills, and some days you'll do swing drills. It's a little bit more like golf, I feel like, in that sense. You don't want to go out there and just crush your driver the entire day. It's not really going to help you get better.
In anything. I feel like even now, like back in the day, you used to hear like, take 1,000 shots, do this.
Yeah.
But the older we got, now it's like, no. You'd rather take 5 good shots that you practice on your form, right?
Yeah.
It will work. The same thing with baseball. It's like you rather take 10 swings over 100 swings, making sure that your form is the right.
Yeah. The problem is if you take 100 swings or 1,000 shots with bad habit, you're going to drill those bad habits in. So you kind of want to break it down and build your way up.
Very good advice right there. Very good advice. So, okay, so you get to NC State. You're there now. So how's that?
What's the college life like for you,
My
man?
God, you
So much
first day
different.
there, football team.
D1. Here, Nick.
D1, school's paid. Yeah, it's a little nice.
Love it.
It's a
Love
good
it.
feeling.
Love it.
Yeah, the problem, a little less responsible when, you don't have to pay your bills for classes and textbooks, everything's free. It's a little nicer.
Yeah.
Food's paid for, classes are paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. Yeah, the only problem is I kind of wish, so I came in, I looked at schools where I could come in and compete freshman year. I wanted to come in and play. Now, looking back at it now, and my kind of advice is to some guys is maybe you want to focus on redshirting. That might be important for certain people. I came in, I was 190 pounds. And my sophomore year is when I kind of made my breakthrough of kind of building my body. I put on about 20 pounds during the off season working out. And I struggled that season. I think it's because the weight and muscles that I put on at that time, it took me a little bit to get adjusted to it. So I kind of wish I would have taken that extra year to develop and then played the 4 years. So my thing is, like, for me, I just wanted to compete. I wanted to play. I didn't want to sit the bench. That was my mindset. But kind of looking back at it, I think for a lot of people at 18 years old, 17 years old, it might be good to redshirt and kind of take that year to develop, to learn, to get adjusted.
That's exactly what our friend Cam said. He's a wide receiver at Syracuse right now. Mm-hmm. He said his freshman year he had to redshirt just because his body wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people. I mean, you're young, and some of these guys. I remember we went to Florida State. I think it was my sophomore year, and their safety looks like a linebacker. I mean, so for some people, you might need a year. I needed a year. I wish I would have taken another year, but I'm happy with everything I achieved in college. But looking back at it, another year of development would have been good.
So you didn't do that. So how did it affect you then?
Yeah, so I didn't do that. I think so. My sophomore year is kind of where I had that. I think that's when I developed, because I went to off season at about 190 pounds. Winter workouts, I came in and I was about 210 in the summer, 215 by the time fall ball started. And that season I struggled. And I think it's because I put on all this weight and I wasn't used to it. Even if maybe it slowed down my swing a little bit, maybe I was off a little bit, but I just wasn't used to it. And then I made the adjustments, got comfortable at that weight. And that's when I had my best season, my junior year. So for me, yep.
That was your breakout year. I mean, just looking, you go to search Niklas's name, you just see in ESPN their records shows that junior year you were the MVP for your team. Again, it was your breakout year with field goal percentage. Your longest field goal is a 50-yarder. Tell me, like, what goes in your mind when there's literally grown men trying to jump in your face, block the kick, and on top of it, you got a whole crowd of Division I fans just screaming. Like, how do you stay completely calm in that moment?
So it's kind of weird. So usually, and this is more for game-winning field goals, some other thing that I was proud of. Mm-hmm. I never missed a game-winning or a game-tying field goal late game. So I was 100% on those. And the thing is, especially on the game winners, I couldn't tell you what happens. I remember running on the field and I remember the ball in the air. So you black out. You don't know what's going on. So that's kind of the feeling that you have to have. In high school, when I was first starting out, when I first started kicking, I was like, okay, when you get back there, just keep thinking like potatoes. Just keep saying potatoes or something dumb. It kind of just takes your mind off, because you don't want to go there thinking like, what do I need to do? What's going on? You want to take your mind off. So in high school, I just said something dumb, kind of repeated it. But then in college, you kind of just have to get used to it. And you have to know that you're going to be in pressure situations and you got to just love it. I wanted to be out there. There's nothing better than when, especially away games or other teams, I mean, they're going to be in your face. They're going to be yelling. And as soon as the ball goes through, they're quiet. So it's the best way to quiet everyone else is if you just make your stuff.
What was that feeling like, man? Hitting the game-winning field goal to give your team the W. What was that like?
Yeah, I can't really explain it. It's
it's surreal.
Yeah, the mindset I always have is you have to go out there. There's 50,000 people there. You have to go out there. You're gonna walk off the field as a hero. You're gonna walk off as the zero. So I didn't want to be a zero.
Ooh,
You know what? You're spreading gems left and right. Oh my God. You're like seasoning my salad right now. Like you're just throwing these gems like it's nothing. Hold up, wait a minute. So you're telling me a game-winning field goal, you're just going up there going,
He basically walked off like Dame Lillard and just said bye.
like,
you have to be out there, so you might as well make it a good experience. I mean,
but
you gotta love it. You gotta want to. You have to want to be in those situations, and that's a thing I think a lot of college kickers struggle in. Is that mentally when that time comes around, maybe they don't want to be in that situation. So that's tough. Not easy.
With that mindset you have now, you're gonna be successful. Like, oh my God, like just that mindset, you're like that confidence in you, like the way you're talking to me right now, it's like, oh my God, like
I'm the man.
I'm the man.
You have to put in the work.
Nick. So we hear like you're the man, just flat out. All the success, your demeanor, your mindset as a winner. Talk to me now when you deal with failure. How you're able to deal with it, cope with it, and ultimately overcome it.
Yeah. So you're gonna have those low points. For me, it was tough. My sophomore year, that was the season I had a bad season. So that was, for me, it was tough. I think I finished right around 56% field goal wise. And for me, that's the first setback I've ever had in sports. So my entire life growing up, I made the club soccer teams that I wanted to make. I made the high school teams. I made college. I played well. Everything always worked out for me. And that was the first time for me on the field where, okay, in my eyes, I failed. And it's tough. You're at a low point. You kind of have to reassess everything, kind of reevaluate. Okay. Because in that situation, you kind of feel alone. And to get back out there, it's just kind of like, are you going to quit now and that be what you get remembered for? Or do you want to put in the work, keep your head down, and just work your way through it? And I've just found that if you just put your head down, you work, you find the right people around you, you're going to find a way back. And for me, I got lucky, luckily for me, my junior season was my best season. So to come out of that low point and then have my high point really helped me.
So how did you started surrounding yourself with the right friends? Did
you have like a mentor?
Exactly.
Mentor. Who pushed you to like really rise back up?
I think for me, it's a lot of intrinsic. For me, I just didn't, the thing is when you play for like the hometown school, a lot of your friends are going to be there. Your family's friend, they're all going to be there. So I didn't want to be in the community as the guy that failed and lost his job and then didn't play anymore. But also I had a good group of friends. The long snapper and the punter were my roommates. And it was great for me because even though they had good seasons and they were on top of it, I could go, look, I need you guys to come out with me. I need you guys to work with me because I need your help. And anytime I needed them, they came out, worked out with me. And then my kicking coach, he is about 2.5 hours away that I worked with. And anytime I needed him to talk to him, send him a video or saying how I felt, he really kind of talked me through it, helped me fix a lot of things. And me and him developed this entire plan that off season to carry into the next season that really helped me.
See, the work ethic is just insane that you're just telling us right now that you had to accomplish these goals. So
yeah,
that's amazing, bro. So you go into your senior season after having one of the best seasons of your life, junior year. How did you continue that, hot streak through your senior season?
Yep. Kind of you just want to ride the wave a little bit. So you take a lot of the things from the season before that kind of work for you, and you just want to build on those things. Coming out of sophomore year into junior year, it was a lot of starting back at the beginning, rebuilding. But junior year into senior year, it was figuring out, okay, what worked, what can I get better at, and building off those things to take it into the next season.
So how was school during this time? Talk to me about school. Like, how was you transitioning into school in college now? And realizing like this is not high school anymore. This is you gotta get the work done. Was it easy for you or?
It wasn't too bad for me. And I think kind of taking high school very seriously kind of helps you transition a little bit because you're not as shocked going into college. I took some AP classes in high school and I did well. So going into college then it wasn't too much of a culture shock in that sense, where like if you're not taking high school seriously and then you go to college, you're gonna have a wake up call. So I think taking high school seriously and then going into college, it wasn't too bad. But I started out doing entrepreneurship and I really enjoyed it. And then I switched to finance my senior year. So I had to take all my finance classes in pretty much 2 semesters, or at summer school and fall semester. So that was a little rough.
Wow.
Whoa.
Plus being a kicker for
Plus being a kicker.
Damn.
Going into your senior year.
How was that?
Miserable. That was the worst summer of my life.
Yeah, I'm taking 3 summer classes right now, and I just want to shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing about if you take that redshirt year, because I graduated in 3.5 years. If I would have taken that redshirt year, then I would have had some more time to either to work on another degree or maybe get your MBA or something like that while they're paying for it. So that's always nice too.
So
not have to pay for my own MBA.
What made you pick finance? What out of every career made you choose that?
Yeah,
it is the best one.
So I did entrepreneurship at first, and I really liked it. But my advisor messed up, and to graduate the class that I needed was only offered in the spring. But I told her that I was going to graduate in December, so I made the decision: do I stay in entrepreneurship and stay another semester, or do I switch to another degree and I can graduate early as I'd planned? And that way I could focus that spring on just NFL kicking. So it came down to finance and accounting just was a little too boring at times. So I went with finance.
Very true. It is very boring. I don't really like accounting people. Don't tell accounting guys, but I don't really like them as much. I was just joking. I was an accountant.
I beg to disagree. So.
I think my 2 best classes in undergrad were accounting, so that's why. Might have made a mistake.
Nah.
So go, Sal. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, that your schedule was definitely packed though. Your social life was probably gone by then. But I just wanted to like talk now about, did you have plans now to go to the NFL, or was it kind of just, you kind of set your mind up for business?
Yep. So I gave myself 2 years, 2 years after college to just give it everything I got to go for the NFL. Because for kickers, it might be a little different. A lot of guys aren't going to make it. There's only 32 teams with 1 kicker on the roster, and maybe 3 teams are actually looking to replace their kicker. So it's very tough. So I knew that the chances of getting in your first year making a roster is going to be very tough. So I gave myself 2 kind of cycles to kind of make an NFL roster. So I gave myself a 2-year plan. If I didn't make it by 2 years, then I'm done. I'm going to get a job and pay my bills. So it's good to kind of just go ahead.
Oh, my fault. Keep going. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go.
It's just, for me, it was important to kind of set that 2-year plan where I didn't have to like focus about getting too serious of a job. So I gave lessons to high school, middle school kids to kind of have money. But I didn't want to work 40 hours and then go kick and work out and be drained. So I really wanted to just focus my energy on kicking.
Looks like you had a very mature mindset, like straight into college, because just you sitting down and be like, realistically, I'm going to give myself 2 years is really mature. Because a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm going to keep on working until I get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Exactly. You had a realistic model of like an end date that would, arrive.
Where did that come from? Oh, you already told us, but I'm saying like that just came straight from there.
Yeah, I just feel like the 2 years kind of was just realistically, or statistically, the chances of making it after 2 years of kicker is going to be very tough. I mean, they're going to keep pumping out kids every year that are going to get looks just because they're new. So after 2 years, I just feel like realistically the chances were so low that I needed to kind of pivot away and start my new chapter in my life.
So during these 2 years, what was going on through your mind? The 2 years exactly, what were you focused on? I know it was the NFL and you had the kids, but were you anytime like, what am I doing? Am I wasting my time here?
Every day. Every single day. Yeah. It's tough because when you're going out there and you're kicking every day or whatever sport you're at, and you're working out every day, and you're kind of doing this for, you don't know, it might be nothing. So it's very tough. You're sitting there, you're working out, and you're going, why am I doing this? It's not like you're on a team or you have a promise of a contract or anything like that. You're working out for a chance that realistically you might never get. So it's very tough. Every day you kind of doubt that.
So when did you just decide, you know what, I gotta, hang up the jersey, hang up the cleats, I gotta go out in my career now in business and finance? Like, when did you decide that?
Yeah, so it's kind of getting towards the 2 years I kind of set myself, and at that time I was lucky enough that I could live at home with my parents, so I didn't have to worry about rent or anything like that or food. And it just kind of got to the point where if I don't make a change now to pivot kind of my life to, if am I going to keep chasing this and nothing comes out of it, then I'm going to be in my mid-20s without a job, without any work experience, and it's going to be kind of tough to grow from there. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't too old to start that chapter of my life, to start getting my work experience and those kind of things. And mainly just to move out, get my own place.
It's just crazy because when we're in college and we're athletes, it's like we don't have time to have an internship or none of that. It's strictly on our sport. But then you realize, like, if we don't make it in our sport, technically we're behind the 8 ball with everyone's experience-wise. How did you keep yourself sane? How did you like do it? Like, did you ever second guess yourself? Like, I should be getting an internship right now at any point?
Yeah, so I did do an internship, but I only did one. The biggest thing I could tell for people that are in school now is what the regular students are doing. They're taking internships that are going to be with companies that they want to get jobs for. So that's kind of tough because we don't have that time. We're in summer workouts, we got fall ball, spring ball. We don't have that time to kind of put in the work for those companies. So it's going to be really hard. You're going to have to put in the work. But I think the biggest thing you can do is what the regular students are doing with internships is kind of getting your foot in the door with some companies and try to use your kind of name or your status, I think, at that time to say, hey, can I work for you for a little bit? Try to just get your foot in the door by using your name. But it was tough when 2 years out of school with no work experience trying to get a job. It's very tough. So I was in this gray zone where I wasn't necessarily fresh out of college. So I needed an entry-level position, but a lot of the entry-level positions I was looking at were looking for graduates that graduated within the last year. So I was out of that gray zone, and it was very tough to find a job. So I applied for a long time to try to find anything. And it was very tough. So the biggest thing is focus on football, obviously, or focus on baseball, focus on whatever sport you're there so you can succeed there, but also try to make sure that you have a plan set up because it's very difficult.
Wow, that's deep. That almost made me cry right there. So what would you say, what did you decide to go that finance route? Because I know, for example, I want to become like a financial advisor. Why didn't you choose that route?
I like more the analyst side. Funny thing is, in high school, I was awful at math. Struggled in it the entire time I was in high school. And then I get to college, take my first calculus class, and a light bulb goes off, and I've loved math ever since. And I love numbers. So I kind of like the analyst side of finance. So that's kind of what I want to get into.
What analyst part of it, though? What do you like to analyze? What drives you?
God, Excel data sets. I mean, just forecasting, the boring stuff. Yeah, it's not really exciting.
Hey, you're making money though. That's the end result.
Tons of money. So where are you now? How do you feel? Did you feel like you achieved everything for your age that you're like, all right, even though I played football for this amount of time, I'm finally where I'm supposed to be? Or are you satisfied at least with what you're doing now?
Yeah. So in college, I broke every record I wanted to break. My goal was to play every snap, and I played every snap. I was never benched. I never had an injury that made me miss anything. I broke the records I wanted to break. I didn't make the NFL, but I gave it everything I could. It's not guaranteed, and it's not easy. So that's fine. And then working professionally, at first, it wasn't really kind of, when you're super competitive and you excelled at your sport, whatever sport you're in, and then you go into work, it's a little different if you're not, I don't know. I couldn't find the competitive side of work at that time. So I've been working for a little bit now, so now I kind of got back. So I'm going back to school. I'm getting my MBA at the University of Miami because I really want to propel myself forward in my professional career.
So where do you see your profession taking you, that you want to get this master? What do you want to do?
I'm hoping I find that answer during this program a little bit. Like I said, I like the analyst side of things, but I really haven't found my true passion yet. I like project management. That's what I'm kind of doing now. And I like finance, but I don't have much experience in it. So I'm kind of hoping with this MBA program and meeting a new kind of network of people and maybe some new opportunities open up, I can chase those and find my new passion. Because for my entire life, my passion has been soccer, it's been football, and now I'm kind of trying to find my passion in work.
Nick, before we let you go, first off, it's been a pleasure. Your stories have been amazing. First, I just want to ask, what was probably your favorite game? Because I know there's a rivalry between NC State, North Carolina. I don't know if there's another rivalry in football. What was probably one of your favorite games and best games that you played?
So for me, the game winners at Maryland, Richmond at home, those are obviously kind of ones that kind of come into my head at first. But then we also played beating Florida State at home when they're at a night game when they were number 3 in the country.
Was this when they had Jameis Winston?
The year before. This was EJ Manuel.
Okay.
And then the Florida State team, when they won the national championship, that might have been the greatest football team I think I've ever seen. That was something special, that team. The game was over halfway through the first quarter. And we weren't the only team they were doing it to.
Oh, my God.
Was Tebow during that time or no?
No. And then
that was old.
And then we played Clemson. We beat them my sophomore year, I think it was. They had Sammy Watkins. They had a bunch of guys. Martavis Bryant, I think, was on that team. Andre Ellington might have been on that team. Jerron Brown, I think he's a wide receiver. He was for the Cardinals. And had a few more other guys. The entire offense went to the NFL.
Oh, my God. That's insane.
That was
a cool one, too, now looking at that.
Damn. And Nick, my last question that I wanted to ask, you're going for your MBA like you mentioned before. What just on a personal level, what just drives you each and every day? Whether it's accomplishing a certain goal of yours that you have in mind, either short term or long term. What pushes you?
I don't know. For me, it's always been just being competitive. I don't know. For me, it just kind of keeps me from just being complacent. I always want to just keep pushing further and further. So for me, it's always been kind of that competitive itch to kind of keep pushing more and more and to want more out of the situations that you're in.
Man, oh man. Let me add the dressing to my salad. Oh my God, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
If I ever get back on the show, I need a wall like you in the background.
you like my wall?
Mine is no go.
Oh man, come on now. These are all high school stuff. My college stuff. Haven't received
it. I'll bring the NC State team MVP trophy out, and I'll just put it right here next time.
Nick, it was a pleasure to have you on. It was an honor. And we love your stories. We love the gems that you drop, and hope our viewers can take that into account.
But before he goes, I love how you drop the gems on some cool stuff. I used to do this. I broke the record, but I just continue. I'm like, wait, hold up. Rewind that. You said it so smoothly and so confidently. It was amazing to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Final Two podcast. Pleasure having you on the show, Nick. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.